Now it's time to fix everything, because as you can see now, there are a bunch of images, but they are not blended at all. So we need to correct everything and match everything together. So how can we do this? We will do this in steps. The first step, we will correct the lightness values. The image should have some parts that have higher lightness values and some parts that are lower in the lightness value. We will define these parts and we will correct it together. The second step, we will correct the saturation, because as you can see here, there are some parts has a lot of color like this part, and there are other parts that has a very low saturated color like this part, and also the part of the mountain. So we need to unify the saturation, and the last part we will unify or correct the colors, because as you can see here, this image was talking at the noon, so the colors are a little bit towards the yellows, so we need to correct this according to the mood we want. And the fourth step, we will draw the light and shadows and distribute it into each element into our visual, and then finally we will put some effects like some lightness and some final color grading. So I can't wait to do this with you guys, so let's start. Firstly, we'll correct the lightness values. I will create a new black and white adjustment layer. This will show me only the values of the lightness. So now I'm not thinking about color, I'm not thinking about saturation, my only concern is how light elements are. So let's start element by element. I will start with the sky, and I will use curves mainly to correct the values. Let's create a clipping mask, and let's make this a little bit darker, and let's open up the shadows like so, because shouldn't be this contrast, be faded. So we may create an S-curve. This will add a little bit of contrast, but not so much. Very good. This is the first element. I guess we need to make it a little bit brighter in the shadows. Very good. Now let's go to the mount. I will start with this one. Let's create curves adjustment layer, and let's create a clipping mask, and let's open up these dark parts, and let's darken up the highlights like so. I will darken the highlights and open up the shadows. This will decrease the contrast, and that's what I wanted. Well, these parts are very far away. Very good. And let's duplicate this layer and put it into the other mountain. Very cool. As you can see here, it's kind of blending with the sky. So let's get back to the moon, because I want to correct everything step by step, going from the far objects into the near objects. So let's correct the lightness of the moon. I'll do this by double click into the layer, and let's create an outer glow. Let's choose a very bright color like so, and then press OK. This will be outer glow, and the inner glow will be, of course, another color. We will adjust this later, but I'm just now trying to get the values right. And also let's add some color overlay. Let's choose some desaturated blue, then press OK, and let's decrease the opacity. Very good. And then the moon is blended in a good way. We'll get back to this. Next, let's go to the building. This building, we will correct the lightness of the building and the rocky surface. So I will just open the shadows a lot, and let's create a clipping mask, and I'm trying now to match it with the midground, the other midground part. Let's make it a little bit darker like so. Maybe we can open up shadows a little bit more, and let's duplicate this curves layer, and let's adjust it according to the surrounding parts. Decrease the lightness and let's increase the darkness of the shadows a little bit. Now it's kinda blended better. You can think about this like you are increasing the contrast gradually. So the lowest contrast will be in the sky, the mountains will be more contrasty, and this building will be like third grade contrasty, and then this is the fourth grade, this part will be the fifth grade, and this part will be the very contrasty part. You can think about it like grades. Very good. Now let's correct the mid-ground part. I will create curves and let's decrease the lightness and let's open up the shadows and let's see if they are blended together properly. I guess we need to decrease the shadows and highlights. I guess now they are blended in a good way. Very good. Now let's get to the other foreground element. I will just duplicate this curves layer and will enhance it. So let's focus in the part in this part in the right and the left, and that's all what I wanted. Very good. This part, maybe we need to open up the shadows a little bit. We will get back to this part later, but for now it's pretty good. It's pretty good to go. Let's make it the highlights a little bit darker, and very cool. All right, next let's correct the values of this building number 2, this one. So let's go to the group, building number 2, and let's create a curves adjustment layer. I will just open up the shadows a little bit. Let's not forget to create a clipping mask, and let's not too much. I will open the shadows but not too much, and I will also decrease the bright. Very good. And now let's do the same thing into the building. We'll open the shadows a little bit, not so much, and let's darken everything down. Very good. Continuously try to zoom in and zoom out to see the full picture. Let's open the highlights a little bit, I guess, because I want this part to be more contrasty than the background elements. Very good. Now it's time to work on building number 1. So there are a lot of blacks into the shadows. So the first thing, I will start to decrease the lightness and open the shadows a little, just a tiny bit. And let's fix this point and let's open these shadows a little bit and let's brighten it. I'm now trying to decrease the lightness of this middle part and try to maintain the details into the shadows because I don't want to lose all the details. Now it's time to do the same thing into the rocky surface here. So just create a curves adjustment layer, open it a little bit, create a clipping mask, and let's open it a little bit in the midtones and let's darken it in the shadows. This curve will add some contrast. Very cool. Now it's time to do the same thing into the bridge. But here, let's firstly brighten the highlights a little bit more because it looks dark. Now let's go to the bridge. I will use the curves, of course. Let's merge everything by selecting them, right click, convert to smart object, and now let's create curves adjustment layer and create a clipping mask, and now let's darken this bridge. This, open the shadows a little bit, not so much, just like this. Maybe we can put it here. Very good. And let's open up the highlights and the midtones and let's darken it a little bit. This will add a little bit of contrast, of course. Maybe we need to decrease the shadows a little bit. Very good. Now it's time to the foreground elements. Let's start by the rocks. So let's start with this rock on the right, the top. Let's create a curves clipping mask, and let's just increase the contrast like this. That's it. We'll not do a lot of work here. And also do the same thing into this layer to the left. We'll just increase the contrast a little bit, and we'll do the same thing into this layer in the midtones and darken some midtones. This will create some contrast also. Maybe we can here decrease the lightness a little bit. Very good. Okay, now this guy image needs a lot of work because the black of the man is not totally black, so we need to darken it to make it black, not faded black. And let's increase the contrast also. I guess this is good. Very cool. Now let's do the same thing into the other rocks. Do the same stuff for each element. Curves, let's darken it, and the other curve, let's create curves and darken it. Very good. Now we are good to go. We have already corrected the value. But when we remove the black and white layer, you will see that we are missing a lot of things that needs to be corrected. But for now, the lightness values are good to go.